What if I told you that becoming rich has less to do with how much money you make and more to do with the habits you repeat every single day? Think about it. There are people earning six-figure salaries who are buried in debt, constantly stressed about money, and living paycheck to paycheck. At the same time, there are ordinary people with average incomes who quietly build wealth year after year until one day they wake up financially free. What's the difference? It isn't luck. It isn't intelligence. It isn't where they were born. It's something much smaller, yet far more powerful. Their habits. Every wealthy person you've ever admired, from successful entrepreneurs to self-made millionaires, shares one thing in common. They don't just think differently. They behave differently. The truth is, wealth is rarely created by one brilliant idea or one lucky opportunity. It's usually the result of thousands of small decisions repeated consistently over many years. And here's the surprising part. Most of these habits don't look impressive. They won't go viral on social media. They won't make headlines. But over time, they quietly separate those who build wealth from those who spend their lives chasing it. By the end of this video, you'll discover the habits that shape wealthy people long before they ever become rich. And you may realize that the path to financial freedom has been hiding in your daily routine all along. Imagine two friends graduating from college on the same day. They have similar education, similar intelligence, similar opportunities. Both get decent jobs. At first, their lives look almost identical. But 10 years later, everything has changed. One owns investments, has multiple income streams, and enjoys financial freedom. The other is still struggling to pay bills, wondering why success never arrived. What happened? Did one suddenly become a genius? Did one win the lottery? No. Their futures were shaped by habits so small they barely noticed them. One saved before spending. The other spent before saving. One invested in learning new skills. The other invested in temporary entertainment. One thought about the future. The other focused only on today. Neither decision seemed important in the moment. But together, they changed everything. One of the biggest myths about wealth is that money changes people. It doesn't. Money amplifies who you already are. If you're disciplined before becoming wealthy, money gives you more opportunities to grow. If you're careless with money, becoming rich often magnifies that carelessness. This is why so many lottery winners end up losing everything within a few years. The problem wasn't the amount of money. It was the habits behind it. Without strong financial habits, even millions of dollars can disappear. But with the right habits, even a modest income can become lasting wealth. The first habit that makes people rich is surprisingly simple. They think long-term. Most people make decisions based on what feels good today. Wealthy people ask a different question. How will this decision affect my life 5 years from now? That single question changes everything. Imagine you're offered two choices. The first gives you immediate pleasure. The second requires patience, but offers a much bigger reward in the future. Your brain naturally prefers the first option. Psychologists call this present bias. We're wired to value immediate rewards more than future ones. That's why buying something today feels easier than investing for tomorrow. That's why scrolling social media feels easier than learning a valuable skill. That's why comfort wins so often. Wealthy people train themselves to resist this instinct. Not because they have stronger willpower, but because they've learned that today's sacrifice often becomes tomorrow's freedom. Consider a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't expect a harvest tomorrow. He waters the soil, protects the plants, waits through seasons. From the outside, it may look like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, growth is taking place. Wealth works exactly the same way. Investments grow slowly. Skills compound slowly. Businesses grow slowly. At first, progress is almost invisible. Many people quit because they mistake slow progress for no progress. The wealthy understand something different. They trust the process long before they see the results. Another habit that separates rich people from everyone else is their relationship with learning. The average person often sees education as something that ends after school. Successful people treat learning as a lifelong investment. They read books, listen to audiobooks, study successful people, learn new technologies, improve communication skills, understand psychology, master sales, develop leadership. Every new skill increases their value. And when your value grows, your income often follows. Imagine two employees working at the same company. One does only what's required. The other spends an hour every day improving, learning about marketing, negotiation, artificial intelligence, public speaking, management. After 5 years, who becomes more valuable? Who gets promoted? Who starts earning more? The answer is obvious. The richest investment you'll ever make isn't in the stock market. It's in yourself. Because no recession can permanently take away knowledge you've earned. One billionaire was once asked about the secret behind his success. He smiled and said, "The more I learn, the more I earn." It's a simple sentence, but hidden inside it is a powerful truth. Income is often connected to the problems you can solve. The bigger the problem, the greater the reward. A person who can solve simple problems earns a modest income. A person who can solve complex problems becomes incredibly valuable. That's why wealthy people constantly expand their knowledge. Not because learning is exciting every day, but because knowledge creates opportunity. Another powerful habit is something most people completely ignore. They protect their time. Everyone receives the same 24 hours. Yet some people build companies, write books, learn new skills, and still have time for family. Others constantly feel busy, but accomplish very little. What's the difference? Priorities. Rich people understand that time is more valuable than money. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. Every hour wasted is an hour you'll never get back. That's why successful people become extremely careful about where their attention goes. They don't just ask, "Is this profitable?" They ask, "Is this worth my time?" Because attention is the currency that creates everything else. Think about your average day. How much time disappears into things that don't improve your future? Scrolling social media, watching random videos, complaining, comparing yourself to others, waiting for motivation. Now imagine investing just one of those hours every day into building a valuable skill. 1 hour doesn't seem like much, but after 1 year, you've invested over 365 hours into becoming better. Most people underestimate what 1 hour a day can accomplish. Wealthy people never do. There's another habit that's easy to overlook. They avoid lifestyle inflation. Most people increase their spending every time their income increases. They buy a bigger house, a newer car, more expensive clothes, luxury gadgets. Soon, despite earning more than ever, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. Rich people often do the opposite. They increase their investments before increasing their lifestyle. Instead of asking, "What can I buy?" they ask, "What can I own that will make me more money?" That shift transforms spending into investing, and investing creates freedom. Finally, there's one habit that quietly connects all the others. Rich people take responsibility. They don't blame the economy. They don't blame their boss. They don't blame their family. They ask, "What can I do with what I have?" Because responsibility creates power. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to change your life, you begin changing it yourself. Every wealthy person reaches that moment. The moment they realize no one is coming to rescue them. That realization isn't depressing. It's liberating. Because once you accept responsibility, you also gain control. And control is where wealth truly begins. If you asked 100 people what it takes to become rich, you'd probably hear the same answers. You need a high-paying job. You need a lucky break. You need to come from a wealthy family. But if those things were enough, every doctor would be a millionaire. Every lottery winner would stay rich, and every successful entrepreneur would never fail. Reality tells a different story. Money isn't just earned. It's managed. And that's where most people lose the game. Imagine filling a bucket with water. If the bucket has holes, it doesn't matter how fast you pour. The water keeps leaking out. Your income works the same way. Many people focus only on making more money. Very few focus on keeping and growing the money they already have. That's why someone earning $60,000 a year can quietly build wealth, while someone earning $300,000 a year struggles with debt. The difference isn't always income. It's behavior. One of the most powerful habits of wealthy people is that they pay themselves first. Think about how most people handle money. The paycheck arrives. Bills are paid. Shopping begins. Subscriptions renew. Restaurants. Entertainment. Online purchases. And if anything is left, they save it. Usually, nothing is left. The wealthy reverse the process. Before spending on anything else, they invest in their future. They automatically save. They automatically invest. They make wealth building the first expense, not the last. This simple habit transforms money from something you consume into something that works for you. Imagine hiring an employee who never sleeps, never takes a vacation, never asks for a raise, works 24 hours a day. That employee is your money. When invested wisely, every dollar becomes another worker producing more dollars. The problem is that most people spend all of their employees before they ever get the chance to work. Rich people understand that money has two jobs. It can buy today's comfort, or it can create tomorrow's freedom. They choose freedom more often than comfort. Another habit that quietly creates wealth is delayed gratification. Psychologists once performed a famous experiment with children. Each child was given a choice: eat one marshmallow immediately, or wait a little while and receive 2 marshmallows instead. Some children couldn't wait. Others did. Years later, researchers discovered something fascinating. The children who learned to delay gratification often experience greater success in school, careers, relationships, and finances. Why? Because wealth rewards patience. Investments need time. Businesses need time. Skills need time. Reputation needs time. Everything valuable grows slowly. The people who can wait often receive far greater rewards than those who constantly seek instant pleasure. This explains why so many people struggle financially. Modern life encourages immediate satisfaction. One-click purchases, instant entertainment, next-day delivery. Everything is designed to make waiting feel unnecessary. But wealth still follows the old rules. It belongs to people willing to plant today for a harvest they may not see for years. There's another habit that wealthy people develop early. They become problem solvers. Most people spend their lives asking, how can I make more money? Successful people ask, what problems can I solve? This single question changes everything. Every business exists because it solves a problem. Every profession creates value by solving problems. The bigger the problem, the greater the opportunity. Think about the companies that dominate the world. They didn't become successful by chasing money. They solved problems. Transportation, communication, shopping, education, entertainment, health. Money simply followed the value they created. When you focus on becoming useful, income often becomes a natural consequence. Rich people also understand something many people overlook. Your environment quietly shapes your future. Imagine placing a healthy person in a room where everyone eats junk food, avoids exercise, and complains every day. Eventually, those habits begin to feel normal. Now imagine placing someone with big dreams among entrepreneurs, readers, disciplined people, and lifelong learners. Suddenly, growth becomes normal. Human beings naturally adapt to their surroundings. That's why successful people carefully choose the people they spend time with. Not because they believe they're better than anyone else, but because attitudes are contagious. So are habits. If everyone around you believes success is impossible, you'll eventually believe it too. If everyone around you believes growth is expected, you'll rise to that expectation. One billionaire was asked what advice he would give to young people. He didn't mention stocks. He didn't mention real estate. He simply said, choose your friends carefully. At first, that answer seems unrelated to money. But think about it. The people around you influence how you think, how you spend, how you work, how you dream, and ultimately, how you live. Your environment either pulls you upward or quietly holds you back. Another habit that separates wealthy people is their willingness to take calculated risks. Notice the word calculated. Not reckless, not impulsive, calculated. Most people avoid risk completely because they're afraid of failure. But avoiding all risk creates another danger: the risk of never growing. Every promotion involves risk. Every business involves risk. Every investment involves risk. Every meaningful opportunity carries uncertainty. Successful people don't eliminate risk. They reduce it by learning, preparing, and acting wisely. They understand that staying exactly where you are can sometimes be the biggest risk of all. Think about someone who refuses to learn new skills because they're comfortable with their current job. Years later, technology changes. Industries evolve. Opportunities disappear. The safest choice became the riskiest one. Growth requires movement, and movement always involves uncertainty. Another habit that quietly builds wealth is consistency. People love dramatic success stories. The overnight millionaire, the viral entrepreneur, the instant breakthrough. But most wealth is built quietly. One investment at a time. One book at a time. One customer at a time. One habit at a time. Success often looks boring from the outside because consistency isn't exciting. It's repetitive. Imagine lifting a small weight once. Nothing changes. Lift it thousands of times over months and years. Your body transforms. Money works the same way. Small investments made consistently often outperform large investments made occasionally. The magic isn't in one big action. It's in never stopping. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about rich people is that they never fail. The opposite is true. Most wealthy people have failed many times. Businesses collapse. Investments lose money. Ideas don't work. Plans change. But failure doesn't stop them. It teaches them. Average people often see failure as proof they should quit. Successful people see failure as information. Every mistake answers an important question. What doesn't work? And every answer brings them closer to what does. Thomas Edison reportedly tested thousands of different materials before successfully inventing the practical light bulb. Someone asked him how it felt to fail so many times. He replied that he hadn't failed. He had simply discovered thousands of ways that didn't work. Whether the exact wording has been repeated differently over the years, the lesson remains powerful. Every setback contains knowledge. People who become wealthy understand that temporary failure is often the price of long-term success. Finally, wealthy people protect something even more valuable than money: their reputation. Money can disappear. Businesses can fail. Markets can crash. But trust. Trust creates opportunities that money alone never can. People invest in those they trust. Companies hire people they trust. Customers return to businesses they trust. Your reputation quietly becomes one of your greatest financial assets. It takes years to build, moments to lose, and a lifetime to benefit from. The habits of wealthy people aren't mysterious. They're intentional. They spend less than they earn. They invest before they spend. They solve problems. They keep learning. They surround themselves with growth-minded people. They embrace calculated risks. They stay consistent. They learn from failure. And they protect their character. None of these habits require you to be born rich. They simply require the decision to think differently from today onward. Here's something most people never realize. By the time someone looks rich, they've usually spent years becoming the kind of person who could handle wealth. People see the expensive house, the successful business, the luxury car, the investments, the financial freedom, but they rarely see the years of discipline that came before it. The mornings spent learning while others were sleeping. The weekends spent building instead of partying. The money invested instead of spent. The failures that no one applauded. The sacrifices no one noticed. Success always becomes visible at the end. The habits that created it were invisible from the beginning. Imagine an iceberg floating in the ocean. From above the surface, you only see a small piece. It looks effortless, but beneath the water lies something much larger. Wealth works the same way. People admire the results. Very few admire the process. They want the reward, not the routine. But the routine is where everything begins. There's another habit shared by almost every self-made millionaire. They stop trading only time for money. Think about it. If your income depends entirely on the hours you work, there's a limit to how much you can earn. There are only 24 hours in a day. That's why wealthy people eventually focus on building assets. An asset is something that continues creating value even when you're not actively working. It could be a business, a book, a digital product, a rental property, an investment portfolio, a course, a YouTube channel, an app, or any system that continues generating income over time. Instead of asking, "How can I work more?" they begin asking, "How can I make my work keep working for me?" That question marks the beginning of financial freedom. Another powerful habit is that wealthy people protect their focus. We live in a world designed to steal your attention. Notifications, breaking news, endless scrolling, constant entertainment. Every distraction seems harmless. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But those small interruptions quietly destroy momentum. And momentum is one of the most valuable forces in life. Imagine trying to build a house while someone keeps interrupting you every few minutes. Progress becomes painfully slow. Your goals work the same way. Every distraction delays your future. That's why successful people guard their attention as carefully as they guard their money. Because they understand something most people don't. Where your attention goes, your future follows. But perhaps the greatest habit of all has nothing to do with money. It's gratitude. That might sound surprising. How could gratitude make someone rich? Because grateful people think differently. Instead of constantly focusing on what they don't have, they appreciate what they already possess. That mindset creates confidence instead of desperation. It encourages better decisions instead of emotional ones. People driven by envy often spend money trying to impress others. People driven by gratitude spend money building a better future. One mindset seeks approval. The other seeks freedom. And freedom is always more valuable. Now think about the people you've met who always complain. The economy is bad. Their boss is unfair. Successful people are lucky. Nothing ever works. Notice how those beliefs shape their actions. If you believe success is impossible, why would you take risks? Why would you invest? Why would you improve your skills? Your beliefs become instructions. They quietly tell your brain what's possible and what's not. That's why changing your financial future often begins by changing the story you tell yourself. Stop saying, "I'll never be rich." Start asking, "What skills can I build?" Stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Start asking, "What can this teach me?" Those questions don't just change your thoughts. They change your decisions. And your decisions create your future. Remember the two friends we met at the beginning of this video? They started with almost identical opportunities. Years later, one became financially free while the other continued struggling. It wasn't because one discovered a secret investment. It wasn't because one got lucky. It happened because every day, one person made slightly better decisions. One more chapter read. One more dollar invested. One unnecessary purchase avoided. One new skill learned. One extra hour spent building instead of consuming. None of those actions changed life overnight. But together, they transformed an ordinary future into an extraordinary one. That's how wealth is built. Quietly, patiently, one habit at a time. If there's one lesson to remember from this video, let it be this. Rich people don't become wealthy because they earn more. They become wealthy because they think differently, act differently, and repeat better habits for longer than everyone else. Money is rarely the starting point. Mindset is. Because your habits determine your actions. Your actions determine your results. And your results eventually determine your financial future. You don't wake up rich one morning. You wake up after years of becoming the kind of person who naturally creates wealth. So ask yourself this. What habit is quietly keeping you poor? Is it spending before saving? Waiting instead of learning? Complaining instead of improving? Avoiding risks because they feel uncomfortable? Or believing that wealth is only for other people? Whatever it is, you have the power to change it. Not next month. Not next year. Today. Because every habit you repeat is casting a vote for the person you'll become. Every dollar you save. Every book you read. Every skill you master. Every smart decision you make brings you one step closer to financial freedom. Remember, wealth isn't built in a single day. It's built daily. Before you leave, I want you to do one simple thing. Take a piece of paper or open the Notes app on your phone and write down one financial habit you're going to improve starting today. Not 5 habits. Not 10. Just one. Maybe you'll save the first 10% of every paycheck. Maybe you'll read 10 pages of a finance or business book each day. Maybe you'll stop buying things you don't truly need. Maybe you'll start investing in your skills instead of only spending on entertainment. Small changes, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results. The richest people in the world weren't made by one decision. They were shaped by thousands of good ones. If this video changed the way you think about money, success, and wealth, subscribe to Level Up Mind. Every week, we explore the psychology of success, self-improvement, business, mindset, discipline, and financial growth, giving you practical ideas that can help you build a better future. Our next video will reveal another powerful principle that separates successful people from everyone else, and you won't want to miss it. If you found value in today's message, share it with someone who's serious about creating wealth and building a life of freedom. Because one idea, one habit, and one decision can completely change the direction of your future. Until next time, think better, grow stronger, build smarter, level up your life.